Justice for Skinny over here. I fear I understand the hype. It's very Edward Cullen of this yarn, to be honest. Hello and welcome to the Faded Wildflower Crochet. My name is Rachel, and today we are continuing on in what has become a series of me trying different Caron cakes. Now you may notice that one of these cakes is not like the other. We are going to be trying out this huge boy right here, which is the Caron Anniversary Cake, which I feel like once again I am a little late to the party on, but I just have to know if it's worth the hype, and I figured we would try some other Caron cakes out while we're at it, so let's go ahead and get a closer look at these. Well, this is basically impossible for me to fit the whole thing in frame. Maybe if I turn it this way, you can get kind of a better look at it there, but this is, in fact, the Caron Anniversary Cake, which again is a limited time thing. You can get this once a year, and then when it's gone, it's gone. And let's see all of the details about this yarn here. This is a size 6 super bulky, so it is quite a thick yarn there. It says to use an 8mm crochet hook, and then this is in the color Beach Towel, which, if I'm not mistaken, the colors change year to year. There might be some colors that will stay the same from the year before, but I think for the most part they switch it up. And this is a 100% acrylic yarn. It is pretty soft here in the skein. Now, the reason that this is so coveted is, first of all, it only comes out once a year. But second of all, it's a pretty affordable price for how much you get. And how much you get is 1,029 yards in this one big old skein. So we're going to find out in a little bit if this is worth it, but I'm really excited about it. So next up, we have the Funfetti cake, which is this really interesting yarn that is woven together with these other strands, and there's definitely dog hair on there, but it is woven together with this other strand, and it gives it this really interesting texture, and it is quite soft in the skein. This is a size 4 medium. It says to use a 5.5 crochet hook, and this comes with 239 yards, and I got the color Mulberry. Next up, we have the Smash Cakes, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is a pretty new line for the Caron cakes, and you may notice a theme as we go along. I'm definitely moving into my purple era. I previously was in my pink era, you guys know this, but I've been really liking yarns that have really just different shades of pink and purple, but I love the different purple shades in this. It's so pretty. This yarn is called Blackberry. So we had Mulberry and now we have Blackberry. This is a size 4 medium. It does also say to use a 5.5mm crochet hook. It is 100% acrylic, which, did I forget to say what the Funfetti cake was? So the Funfetti cake is 66% acrylic and 39% polyester. And so this one is 100% acrylic here, and it does come with 432 yards. And then last up for the day, we have the Caron Skinny Cakes, which I have to admit that the name Skinny Cakes makes me think of those like diet cakes that aren't very good. But what they're referring to is the fact that this is a thinner yarn, which I do believe this is a size 3. Yes, it is a size 3 light. It says to use a 4mm crochet hook. This is, once again, 100% acrylic. You get 795 yards, which is quite a bit. And this is in the color Grape. Again, we've got some purple shades here, and this also feels quite nice in the skein. I have to admit that over the years, I've really been more of a size 4 girl when it comes to yarn, but the more and more that I'm getting into wearables, I kind of love a size 3 for wearables. So we're gonna see what this one is like to work with. So the pattern that we're going to be working from is in fact the same pattern I used in the last Caron Cakes video, which is this adorable pocket dragon pattern. I will have this link down below. I was going to do something else just to switch it up a little bit, but my younger daughter and her friends are absolutely obsessed with dragons right now, rightfully so. And she specifically requested that I make some pocket dragons for her and her friends. And who am I to say no to a 9-year-old? I also just feel like pocket dragons are the perfect pattern to try out different yarns with, because you get the granny square section and you can see how a yarn would work up for a granny square, and then you have the amigurumi portion, and that will tell you how a yarn will work up for amigurumi. So I think we just have to start off with the anniversary cake. This thing is so huge, and I have to know. I have to know if this is worth the hype. So let's go ahead and get started. Hello, you guys. It is the next day, and as I'm sitting here, I've actually finished all 4 of the pocket dragons. It really just worked out better for my schedule for me to do all the crocheting yesterday and then come back here today to tell you all my thoughts. So here I am, and let's start off by talking about the Anniversary Cake pocket dragon, which, oh my goodness, did he or did he not turn out basically perfect? I mean, no notes. Well, I have some notes. That's kind of the whole point of this video, is that I'm giving my notes. But in terms of how he looks, I think he's just so stinking cute. So I fear that I get it. I fear I understand the hype. I fear that I love this yarn. In fact, I was excited to try it, but I didn't know if I was going to like it going in. I was a little bit nervous that I bought this huge skein of yarn and I wasn't going to like it. I think what was throwing me off is that this is a size 6, and that's not a yarn weight that I work with that often. And when I do, it's typically a chenille yarn. So for this to be an acrylic yarn and a size 6, I was like, I just don't know if I'm going to like it. But as it turns out, I really do like it. It was so easy to work with. It didn't split or snag or anything like that. Glided nicely on the hook. Now, that being said, the granny square portion I had no issues with, but the amigurumi portion, it was just a little bit hard to get my tension right in some spots. Like, I don't even know that you can tell on camera, but maybe a little bit here and there. There's like a tiny bit of gapping, but it honestly worked out better than I thought it was going to. As you can see with the colors, the color changes go very quickly from one color to the next. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like some of the anniversary cakes that I've seen have longer stripes and then some have shorter stripes. This is one that has shorter stripes, which I don't know. For some reason, looking at this skein, I didn't realize that. I probably should have, but the stripes are very short. I did get you all of the colors in this. Now, I, for the most part, just let the colors do whatever they wanted to do. But because these spikes were all in purple and I did not plan that, it just happened that way, I ended up cutting off just a little bit of the yarn because the next color was going to be purple. And I thought it would be perfect to have the horns be in purple to match the spikes. So I did cheat a little bit, but I hope you can forgive me. Because these are gifts, I did do a little bit of color switching, which you'll see again later. I don't usually do that with reviews, but I just think that made it just all the more cuter. Now, I do really like the colors. They're so vibrant. I think they look even better worked up than they do in the skein. However, let me see if I can find it. You can see in some portions, it doesn't show up as well on camera as it does in person, that there is like a little bit of white throughout, which I don't mind the way that looks. It's just not very consistent. It will just show up here and there. You can kind of see like right here, there's a little bit of white in that color. I don't really know how I feel about that. Again, I just wish it was one or the other. I wish it was consistently throughout to have that white color, or to not be there at all. But it doesn't really bother me that much. It's not super noticeable, but just something to note. So checking the Michaels website here, the normal price for this is $39.99, and it is now on sale for $27.99, which I do believe is the price that I paid for it. I feel like that is really not a bad price considering how much yarn you get in this skein. This currently does come in 8 different colorways, which as of filming this, they are all sold out except for this color, interestingly enough. And then if I'm looking to see if they have some at the closest Michaels to me, which is like an hour and a half away, it does say that they have some of the colors, but not others. And by the time this video comes out, they may be completely sold out. So I apologize that I didn't get this out sooner, but there's always next year, and you can always check on secondhand sites. But I do feel like some people are jacking up the price, which I feel a little bit strange about that. But, you know, if you really do want to get a hold of it, there's some floating around out there. So what do you guys think that I should make with the rest of this huge skein? I'm thinking like a nice big chunky sweater or something like that. Let me know if you have this yarn, what you've made out of it. I need all of your project ideas because of course I have quite a bit of this yarn left. Future Rachel here. You're gonna see me cut in a couple times during this video just because I've continued to work with these yarns and I wanted to give you more insights about them as I continue to work with them. So when it comes to the anniversary cake, I am working on a sweater in it, which overall is going really well. I love the texture. I love the squish of this yarn. It continues to be easy to work with. However, I had a factory knot, and factory knots are already annoying enough as they are. But this factory knot was especially egregious because instead of going into the next color that was in the color pattern, it went back to the last color. So the stripe pattern is now opposite. And so what I ended up having to do, I was working from the center of this yarn. What I ended up having to do is work from the outside of the skein so that the stripes would match up what I was already working on. So that was pretty frustrating. Just something to note. And mostly I just wanted to rant about the fact that this had such a bad factory knot. Again, I don't like factory knots as they are. I understand it's one of those things. But if you're going to put a factory knot in, at least have the correct color following. Anyway, back to past Rachel, and you'll see me again here in a minute. So the next dragon that I made was made with the smash cake. So let's go ahead and cut to the montage of that. Okay, you guys, here is our baby smash cake dragon, and isn't she precious? I really love the way this came out. I think it looks so cute. And by the way, I did use these dragon eyes on this one and the anniversary cake one as well. I really love these dragon eyes. I bought them for a specific project a while ago, and I was kind of annoyed at the time because it came in a whole pack. You couldn't just buy one individual color because I just wanted one color, but it comes with all these different variety of them, and I thought there's no way I'm ever going to use these up. And I'm down to my last like 3 or 4 pairs because I just think that it adds a special touch, especially for, you know, dragons and snakes and things like that. They're so cute. I will leave a link to them down below, which this is not a dragon eye review video. This is a yarn review video. So we will talk about the yarn. Let me show you a difference between the sizing on these two, just to show you just how big the anniversary cake one is. I mean, look at that. That is wild, actually, how big this yarn is in comparison. And again, this is a size 6 and this is a size 4, but that is a pretty dramatic difference there. So if we're talking about this yarn and is it easy to work with, it is for the most part. I had no problems with the granny square portion, no issues whatsoever. But when it came to the amigurumi portion, it did split for me a couple of times. Not enough that I was super annoyed, but just, you know, something to note about this yarn. I do really like the texture. It is quite soft in both sections of this. I enjoy the texture. Now, the one thing that I'm a little bit iffy on is the colors. And I know a lot of people really love these colors. Ooh, I also realized that I have a little tail sticking out there. I need to cut that real quick. Okay, crisis averted. So a lot of people really love these colors, but for me, I think first of all, I wasn't expecting how neon these colors are. I don't feel like the camera is even picking up just how bright, especially the pink is on this. Like, it is neon. And I don't know why, but I just wasn't quite expecting that. Whenever I saw this online, I was expecting it to be a little bit more tame. I don't know if that's the right word for it. But if it was just that, I would be okay with it. But I think what I'm running into with this yarn is that the color changes are just a bit chaotic. Like, I like it when yarns will switch into having a different color. So, you know, you get the solid colors and then you have some where it has the black in there. It kind of reminds me of the Big Twist Vortex yarn. And that one has, you know, different colors woven throughout, but it just has like a nice gradual effect to it. That is kind of what I was expecting for some reason going into this. And that's just not the way it works up. As you can see, it's kind of chaotic. So, you know, again, that's just personal preference for me. And I think that it works for this project. I'm just trying to think of what other projects it would look good on. And I'm at a loss right now. So if you have any ideas, let me know. So looking at the Michaels website, this normally does cost $12.99. And it's currently on sale for $9, which I do believe is what I paid for this. Michael does tend to have sales and coupons and all that kind of stuff to help get the prices down. But this, it's not a terrible price overall. And this does come in 8 different colors. Some I like, some I'm kind of neutral about. And would I repurchase it again? Probably not, just because of, again, how chaotic the color changes are. But overall, it's not a bad yarn at all. So now we are moving on to the Funfetti Cake Dragon, which I have a lot of thoughts on. So first, let's watch that montage. Here he is, which I do think that he is cute in his own way. I do fear, however, that he has a case of warts, and I'm afraid there is no cure for our baby dragon here. Because can you see that the yarn just sort of sticks up in places? It's a little hard to tell. Let me see if I can get the camera to focus on this instead of my face, but you can see that in the granny square portion, it's not that bad, but for the head, it really does just stick up everywhere. Like it's, I don't know. And to me, I can't get over the thought of feeling like it looks like warts. But I did actually show this to my daughter already, and she really liked it. So, to each their own, I suppose. But I think what is clouding my judgment is the fact that this was not easy to work with for me, unfortunately. Again, it is just these 2 strands that are kind of loosely woven together, and some of it looks, like it's intentional, right? It's an intentional choice to have it where the yarn sticks up in places. It's not a mistake. I don't think, from what I saw online, it does seem like it is intentional for the yarn to be sticking out like that. But to me, when I look at it, it looks like it's a mistake, which that's a little harsh. I'm sorry that I said that, baby dragon. You are not a mistake. But I just feel, I don't know. I don't love it. I wish I loved it. I just don't love it. What I do love about it is the texture. It is probably the softest of the 4. It has such a nice texture. Working with it was not easy. I think especially for the amigurumi portion, when I'm trying to pull my stitches tight, those 2 sections, because they aren't as tightly woven, were separating, and I was just getting so much snagging and splitting, and I wasn't loving my life working with this. It really wasn't that much easier for the granny portion either. I just think that this yarn is probably just not for me. I do know that there's someone on my Discord that loves this yarn, so I might be sending them the rest of this. We'll see. I didn't love working with it, unfortunately. I love the idea of a yarn that has 2 different tones that are woven together like this. Again, I think the general effect of how it looks is really cool. I just wish that they were more tightly wound, because that would just make it a lot easier to work with. So this one, once again, cost $12.99 and is on sale for $9. This comes in 10 colors, and some of them are a solid color with a white strand, and then some of them are 2-toned, like this one where it's 2 different shades of purple. I love the idea of it. I just think overall this is not for me. I really just didn't like how much it was like bunching up and snagging and splitting. And again, I think that it looks, again, on camera, it looks way, way better. That's always frustrating to me. But when you kind of look up close, you can see parts where it's just like sticking out. And normally when I look at a project that is doing that, I'm like, oh gosh, I made a mistake there. And it's not a mistake, it's intentional. And I don't really see the vision, but if you do, let me know what you use this yarn for, because I can't really figure out what else I'm going to use this for, or if I might just end up sending it away. It's kind of funny because I actually really don't like Funfetti cake. It's probably like one of my least favorite types of cake ever. I'm so sorry if you like it, but I don't like Funfetti cake, and it turns out I don't like Funfetti yarn either, so there you go. So it is time to move on to our very last dragon of the day, which is the Skinny Cakes dragon. So let's go ahead and watch past Rachel make that dragon. Okay, here she is. And oh my goodness, I think she is so cute. Honestly, this yarn was the surprise standout winner for me today. I really enjoyed working with this, and I think she is so cute. Now, I did have to do a little bit of color separating for this one as well. I did take out about this much of this purple. So as you can kind of see here, there was a darker purple here at the beginning. There was just a little bit of it, but the stripes are very long. I had to cut off this much of that purple to get to some of the white because I just thought a little bit of contrast for the spikes and the horn would be cute. Again, since these are gifts, I decided to do it that way, but the color striping is very long on this, just so you are aware if you want to purchase this yarn, which I do like. I think that there are a lot of uses for yarns like that have the long stripes. With amigurumi though, it's kind of frustrating because you might just not get to any of the colors, which can be good depending on what you're working on. But for this, I thought a little bit of contrast would look a little bit better. So if I were to compare this to any other yarn that I've worked with, I would say it's the most similar to Lion Brand Mandala. It is the same weight and a very similar texture. I would say this one might be just a touch softer than that. But surprisingly enough, I loved it for both amigurumi and for the granny square portion. I had no issues whatsoever with this yarn. It was a breeze to work with. I kind of can't wait to work with this again. I feel like I'm turning into a size 3 girl. I used to like 4 as my favorite type of yarn, and I still enjoy it, but I really am enjoying a size 3 yarn. I think that the stitch definition looks so good. And again, it was a breeze to work with. So I'm really happy about that. Now, I did show these to my daughter already, like I mentioned, and she said that this one was the most boring, which justice for Skinny over here, because I think she's adorable, but you'll have to let me know what you think. So the cost on this one is the same as the last two, and that is normally $12.99, on sale for $9. This does come in 10 different colorways, and I think of these 4 yarns today, the colorways for this one are my favorite. Of course, I really like the one that I purchased here. There's some really nice options. Would I repurchase this yarn? Yes, definitely I would. I think that this is just a nice solid weight 3 acrylic yarn you could use for wearables, and honestly you could use it for amigurumi as well. Hello, hi, me again. So I was making a hat out of the Caron Skinny Cakes. Is anyone surprised? You shouldn't be, but I was working on this in the car, and it wasn't until then that I noticed in the direct sunlight this yarn sparkles. It's very Edward Cullen of this yarn, to be honest, but it is so hard for me to even pick it up on camera. I tried to get some clips of it, but as you can see in the regular light, no sparkle whatsoever. But in the direct sun, there is definitely sparkliness to this yarn. It is so strange. And I don't know if that makes me like this yarn more or less. It's just something to note. And I don't know if every colorway is this way, because obviously this is the only one that I've worked with. But if you've ever worked with this yarn, tell me if you've noticed this, because it threw me for a loop, to be honest. I was like, oh, I did not realize this was a sparkly yarn. So there you go. So we are almost at the end of today's video. But before we say goodbye, I have to know, which pocket dragon was your favorite? that is such a hard choice because I feel like we have 4 real winners here today. But if I had to pick one, I have to go with the anniversary cake as my favorite. I just think that in the end, it looks so cute. I love all the rainbow colors and I love the texture. But of these yarns, surprisingly enough, I'm the most excited to work with this one again, the skinny cakes, which I really did not expect to like this yarn as much as I do. Okay, last time you're gonna see me, I promise, but I wanted to let you guys know that for Advent this year, I am putting together a calendar of surprise new to me yarn, but I need your help. So if you would like to send me yarn, you can send that to my P.O. box, which will be down below. You can send me yarns that you think I will love. You can send me yarns that you think that I will hate. You can even send me just leftover yarn from your stash, even if it doesn't have the label on it. You can send anything you would like to me. And just make sure that you put for Advent somewhere on the outside of the packaging so I don't open it early. And if you can't send me yarn for any reason, no worries. You can also send me an email. Make sure that subject line is for Advent. Put your suggestion in the email and I will have my husband buy me that yarn. And so that I can try a brand new to me yarn every day on Advent. So thank you guys so much for those of you who have already been sending me yarn and for those of you who are going to participate. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching today's video. We did have 2 hits in this video. One that was okay and one complete miss, which, you know, it had to happen eventually. I really have liked most Caron cakes that I've tried, but the Funfetti one, it's just not for me. But you will have to let me know which Caron cakes you'd like to see me try next. And of course, you will also have to let me know what were you working on as you watched today's video. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to come hang out again. You can join my Patreon where I have bonus videos, exclusive patterns. You can get access to the Discord. And thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time.